today we are going to start, we'll need, if you have them, 2 blocks, a blanket, possibly a strap. We are going to start seated. So I want you to sit on something, whether it's a block, whether it's a blanket, whether it's a pillow, I don't care. Just put your butt on something. And then you can either sit with your legs crossed in front of you in Sukhasana, you can sit in Virasana, however you'd like to sit. Just take a moment to find your seat. And then we'll allow ourselves to soften our gaze and close our eyes for just a moment. And I want you to feel inside your body and feel like if you need to wiggle out the shoulders or circle the shoulders or maybe circle the neck, if you need a little small rotation to one side or the other, just start to sense into how you're feeling in the body, noticing where there is maybe tension or maybe where there's spaciousness, and just starting to get a sense of where you are. And then once you feel like you've got that imprint, see if you can return to a still neutral spot. If you need to, you can go ahead and open your eyes and see this. We're going to start by turning our left palm to face forward, your thumb to face down. You'll bring the right palm in front of the left, and then you're going to clench your fingers, hook them around each other. This is called Ganesha mudra, and you'll lower the hands so they're roughly in line with your heart, elbows in line with your shoulders, and go ahead and soften the gaze and close the eyes. And every time you breathe in, you'll see if you can find a little bit more length through your spine. And as you exhale, you'll pull the hands apart. So every inhale, find length through the vertebral column. And as you exhale, pull the hands apart. You've got 3 more breaths this side, and just notice what you notice. I find that if I send my elbows forward just a smidge, I feel a widening across my back. I notice that if I can soften around my shoulders, I can find a little bit more lift of the underside of my elbow. This should be our last breath cycle here. At the end of this breath cycle, you'll gently release the clasp and just switch the hands. So now your right palm faces forward, your left palm faces back, and you clench the hands. And then again, another 5 breaths. So inhale, finding length, and exhaling, pulling the fingers apart. And just observe and notice where you can soften any unnecessary tension. Notice how you can continue to deepen your exhale. And see if you can find a little bit more length with the in-breath. At the end of this next exhalation, gently release the hands. Allow the hands to either face up or face down as they rest on your thighs. That's totally up to you. And just take 3 to 5 breaths. So Ganesh, he is the, I guess, iconic image of the remover of obstacles. And sometimes Ganesh puts the obstacles in our way in order for us to learn a particular lesson. And so while we're going to stay with that idea of things that come to us so that we can learn something, we're also going to stay with this idea of what we can let go of so that we can learn something. So throughout this practice, we're just going to keep returning to our breath. I'll give you a series of poses and shapes that we'll do, but we'll keep coming back to this idea of letting go, being quiet, being still, and trusting more. So on your next in-breath, gently guide your hands to heart center, press the palms into each other, then interlace the fingers, send the heels of the hands forward and away from you, round the upper back just a little bit, and then start to reach your hands forward and up and over your head. When your hands are over your head, see if you can reach the heels of the hands up a little higher, the index fingers of the hands up a little higher, and maybe you take a little side bend to the right, and then maybe a little side bend to the left, just finding a little bit of length in the upper armpit space. And the next time you go to the right, we'll just stay here. Reach more through the left heel of your hand, root down more through your left sit bone. Inhale, come back up through center. As you exhale, bring your hands back in front of your chest. Switch clasp, so opposite interlace of the fingertips. Send the heels of the hands forward again, round through the upper back just a little bit. Reach the hands up and over your head. And again, maybe take a little side bend over towards your left. And then maybe up and over to the right. So it's almost like we're just trying to send the heels of our hands away to find some space between our ribs. Awesome. And then the next time you go over to the left, just go ahead and stay there for a breath cycle or two. And again, reach out through your right heel of your hand, root down through your right sit bone. Next in breath, come back up through center. As you exhale, both hands come in front of your chest. Fantastic. This time, let's go ahead and turn our hands to face forward. I want you to take, since we had some wrist issue, I want you to take your left hand to your right fingers, and you can send the heel of your hand away from you. The elbow can be bent or it can be straight. It's totally up to you. We're just trying to see if we can feel an opening across our forearm. And then notice if your thumb escaped and see if you can just do your thumb as well, pulling it back towards the inner edge of your forearm. And then we'll gently release that. Make a little flamenco twirl with the wrist, and then do the other side. So turn the left heel of the hand to face forward. Grab all four fingers with your right hand, and maybe you straighten that elbow. Maybe you keep it bent. You're just paying attention to what you're experiencing on your left forearm. And then check in with your thumb. Make sure it gets some love as well. Awesome sauce. And then we'll gently release that little flamenco twirl of the wrist. Great. Let's go ahead and make our way forward onto our hands and knees. When we get onto our hands and knees, let's switch, or rather, let's move our blocks. So blocks to the upper outer corners of the mat if you need it. Blankets somewhere off to the side of the mat just in case. You'll find yourself on hands and knees and slip the fingers to face back towards your knees on both hands. And then once you've found that, so same position we were just in a moment ago with our hands, allow your chest to drop to the floor, your belly to drop to the floor, and your head to drop to the floor. So we're in that sad non-California cow shape. And just experience that some of you, yep, that's good, Christine. Some of you might curl your toes under just a little bit and then shift your weight back just a little bit. So now you feel both of your forearms getting a stretch as your butt goes a little closer to your feet. And some of you might be like, yeah, that's way too much. Not really interested in that. That's totally okay. If you shifted your pelvis back towards your feet, inhale and come forward. Turn your hands the normal orientation so your fingertips face the top of your space. And then slip the back of your left palm to the floor. So now your left fingertips face back towards your left knee. The top of the hand is on the floor. And then maybe you bend your left elbow a little bit. Again, maybe you shift your weight back just a little bit. Now we're trying to find a different part of stretch happening across the front of our left forearm. Awesome. And then just make sure you're breathing. Fantastic. Release that left hand. And then slip the back of your right palm or top of the right hand to the floor. Right palm faces up, fingertips face back towards your knee. Maybe you bend your right elbow and see how that feels on the front of your right forearm. Maybe you just shift your pelvis back towards your heels and notice how that feels. We're just paying attention to what's happening in our wrists right now. Nice job. Gently come forward. Walk your knees, ankles, and shins together. Curl both sets of toes under. We're going to sit for toe squat. Now, just because a few of you said you were having wrist stuff, we're going to do some of this. I want you to flick like you've got lots of water on your fingers. So we're going to flick. And then slower than you want to, you're going to make your hands faster. So hands are flick, 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 flick. And then your hands are going to start to creep up towards the sky. Flick, flick, flick. Flick, 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 flick. And now when your hands are over your head, you're going to get tired. So keep flicking your hands as vehemently as you can. Feels like I'm having a little hurrah party. Your toes are probably talking to you, but not as much as your forearms. We've got 5, we've got 4, we've got 3, we've got 2, we've got 1. Hooray! Okay, shake your hands out. Come forward onto hands and knees, tops of the feet to the floor, pitter patter your toes if you'd like to, having a happy little temper tantrum. And then conversely, you might shift your weight back, lifting one end or both knees up and away from the floor. And then take a moment to settle and just check in with your arms, your wrists, your forearms, see how those feel, see how that's going for you. Fantastic. Our mantra today is going to be quiet, be still, do less, and trust more. I'm saying that ironically because the next thing you're going to do is going to not want you to do any of those things. So let's go ahead and come forward, hands and knees. First thing I'd like you to do is push down into the tips of your fingertips. Make the heels of your hands light so you feel that energy radiate up into your armpit. Scoop your low belly in and then extend your left foot back behind you. Curl the toes under. Now, if you'd like for a moment, since we had some people mention calf stuff, you might shift your weight a little forward and back and just feel what it feels like to get a nice gentle stretch happening on your back calf. And once you feel like you've come to stillness or completion with that, go ahead and come to stillness with your body. Make your toes a little lighter. So just the tip of your big toe mound touches the floor and your pinky toe mound also reaches towards the floor. Scoop your low belly and then inhale, float your left leg up and away from the floor. Awesome. As you exhale, touch your toes to the floor. Inhale, float the leg up. We've got 5 of these. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale, bend the knee. Draw the heel towards your butt. Inhale, straighten the leg. Exhale, touch the toes to the floor. Inhale, float the leg up. Exhale, bend the knee. Inhale, straighten the leg. Exhale, touch the toes down. Inhale, float up. Okay, you've got 3 more sets on your own, just like this, and you're following your breath, noticing how it feels. Just inhale and exhale. Bend and straighten, lower and lift. This should be our last set. The next time you exhale and bend your knee, go ahead and stay there. Fantastic. And then take 10 little pulses, just kicking your foot up to the sky for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, lift your leg a little higher. As you exhale, draw your left knee down towards the floor. And then inhale, open the left leg out to the left. Inhale, lower the knee down to touch the floor. And exhale, open it out to the left. Fantastic. We've got 5 more of those. And you're just pausing and you're breathing. And you're noticing that your hip is probably talking to you. Check in with those hands though. Can you make the tips of your fingertips even heavier so the heels of your hands remain light? And then are you keeping your core engaged as we're doing all this? Fantastic. This should be our last one. The next time your left leg goes to the left, let's hold it there and we'll pulse it up for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 2, 1. Fantastic. Lower the knee down. Go ahead and take a series of cats and cows here, first ones of the day, and just notice what that feels like. I'm sure one butt cheek is a lot more warm than the other, but notice how that integrates with your back, how that feels with your chest, with your breathing. Fantastic. And then let's go ahead and come to a neutral spot. We're going to take toe squat once again, or just sit on top of your toes for Vajrasana, totally up to you. And then we're going to reach our right arm up and overhead, bend your right elbow, grab your right elbow with your left hand and pull your right elbow to the left. As you push it to the right, pull your front ribs into your back body and see if you can push your head straight back and just pause here and breathe. Notice what that feels like. Nice work. Next in breath, reach up through your left arm, reach up through your right and switch sides. So bend the left elbow, grab the left elbow with the right hand, press the left elbow to the left as you pull it into the right. And then just take a moment to pause and take a moment to breathe. Fantastic. Next in breath, reach up through your right arm, reach up through your left. As you exhale, hands come down. Let's interlace the fingers at the low back, draw the shoulders up towards the ears, shoulder blades down against the back, and just see if you can lift the chest a smidge. Awesome. Gently release that. Come forward, hands and knees, pitter patter the toes if need be. Take a counter stretch if need be. And then just take a cat and a cow before we go to the other side. And you're just checking in. Great. And then let's try it on the other side. So again, plant your hands underneath your shoulders, press into the tops of your knuckles, and then extend your right foot back behind you. Again, you'll start with just doing toes on the floor and pulsing a little forward and back. Toes are curled under, feeling a little stretch happening on the back of our right calf, just feeling how that feels. And then some of you that have wrist stuff, before we do the next section, notice what happens if you walk your hands forward, just a smidge of your shoulders. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and come to stillness. Just let the top of your right big toe touch to the floor, and then spin your right pinky toe to the floor. Next in-breath, lift your whole right leg parallel to the floor. On the exhale, touch the toes down. Inhale, float up. Exhale, down. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. Inhale, up. Exhale, bend your knee. Inhale, straighten your leg. Exhale, touch the floor. Inhale, up. Exhale, bend the knee. Inhale, straighten the leg. Exhale, touch the floor. Inhale, up. Exhale, bend the knee. Inhale, straighten the leg. Exhale, touch the floor. Last 2 sets. Up. Exhale, bend the knee. Inhale, straighten the leg. Exhale, touch the floor. Inhale, up. Exhale, bend the knee. Fantastic. The next time you bend your knee, let's go ahead and stay there and take your 10 little pulses. So kick up to the sky, and you want to imagine that your inner right thigh is lifting faster than your outer right thigh. Your left butt cheek is probably talking to you quite a bit as you draw your low belly in. Fantastic. On your next exhalation, go ahead and lower the knee down to the floor. Inhale, open the leg out to the right. Exhale, touch it down. And then inhale, open. You've got 7 of these. And you're just finding these awkward clam shape thingies on our hands and our knees. And you're noticing that that outer left hip is probably talking to you a lot more than the right one. Let's see if you can keep breathing. Notice if your head is careened to the floor. Yep. All right. Fantastic. The next time that right leg is out to the right, 10 little pulses. 10, 9, 8, 7 and a 6, 5 and a 4, 3 and a 2 and a 1. Hooray, you're done. Lower that down. Fantastic. Take your cats and cows or shift your weight back and just notice anything that feels better than that. Awesome sauce. Cool. Let's go ahead and move on. Let's come forward to hands and knees again. Curl your toes under, gaze forward, and then start to lift your pelvis up toward the wall and the ceiling meet. So knees bent, hips going up towards where the wall and the ceiling meet. Yep. And then when you're here, I want you to just bend your right knee, just your right knee, straighten your left leg. Notice what you feel happening on the left side with the right knee bent. And then see if you can take in a deeper breath. Awesome. And then go ahead and come back through center, both knees bent. And then just bend your left leg. So now your right leg straightens. And then notice what that feels like. What do you notice happening in the right leg? Fantastic. And then inhale, bend both knees, and you'll slowly do that again on each side. And just notice what it feels like. Can you maybe move your hips in the opposite direction of the straight leg? So they go more towards the bent knee side, and see if that feels like something's happening in your side body. And then be sure to switch sides and just notice what you notice. All right. And then when you're balanced between the sides, come back to center. Lower your knees to the mat. And I know, last hands and knees things. Let's go ahead and extend our left foot back, toes curl down to the floor. Pull all of your organs away from the floor, extend out through your head, and then float your left leg parallel to the floor. And then from here, start to walk your right hand forward, and maybe it just stays forward on the floor. Maybe it starts to reach so far forward that it floats up, and now it's in line with your ear. Keep lifting through your inner left thigh and dial your outer left hip down. I know we did all that hands and knee and glute stuff, but surprisingly, it didn't really test our core so much. So now you'll breathe here for 3. You'll breathe here for 2. Press into the index fingers of that left hand for 1. Next, exhale, lower the right hand down, lower the left knee down, and then we'll try that on the other side. So go ahead and slide your right toes back. Curl the right toes under. Scoop your organs away from the floor so that your whole core is supporting you. And then inhale, float your right leg parallel to the floor. Now you might stay here. You might start to crawl your left fingertips forward on the floor. They might stay there. They might start to reach so far forward that now they're suddenly in line with your ear. And then you breathe for 3. Keep lifting the inner right thigh for 2. Next, exhale, lower the left hand down, lower the right knee down, curl the toes under, and make your way back to your downward facing dog. Awesome sauce. All right, let's move on. Inhale here. As you exhale, step your right knee to your nose. Right knee comes to your nose, and then plant the foot between your hands. Yep. From here, you might bring your hands to your blocks or your block alternatives. And then all I want you to do is notice what happens if you lift your inner left thigh even more, if you draw your outer right hip back even more, and then if you reach your heart and sternum forward even more. Fantastic. And you're just going to breathe here for 3 breaths. Super long, low, deep lunge. 3 deep breaths. Feel what the back toes are doing as they press into the floor. Feel what the front foot is doing as it presses into the floor. Now here's our awkward transition. You can take 1 or a million steps, but step the left foot to the top of your mat. Yay! Fantastic. Once you get there, separate the feet about hip distance apart, and then just notice, how does your right side feel in comparison to your left? Does one hamstring feel a little bit more open? One side of the back feel a little bit more open? It's totally okay, just notice. On your next in-breath, slide your hands up your shins, reach your heart and sternum forward, halfway lift. And then as you exhale, fold all the way back in. Great. From here, bend your knees and slowly round up your spine. Come all the way up to stand. Tadasana. Great. And then once you find yourself standing, just take a moment to really make sure you're not dizzy. We're going to interlace our hands in front of us once again. Bring the hands on top of your head. And I want you to push your hands down into your head and push your head up into your hands until you feel like your whole spine becomes a little bit longer. Now notice that your low belly has started to pull up into your spine. Keep that there. Send the heels of your hands up towards the sky. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, we're going to side bend to the right. Now, as we go to the right, keep pushing down into your left big toe mound. Draw your outer right hip forward, your inner left thigh back, and see if you can breathe a little deeper. Next in breath, go ahead and come back up through center. As you exhale, release the hands back in front of the chest. Take awkward opposite interlace of the thumb. Bring the hands back to the top of your head. And again, find that verticality. So you push down into your head a little bit and then push up into your hands. Flip the heels of the hands to face up towards the sky. So flip them to face up, straighten the arms, and then take a little side bend over to your left. And again, you're rooting down into your right big toe. You're drawing your outer left hip forward, your outer left rib shoulder forward, and see if you can breathe into your right ribs. Inhale, come up through center. And then exhale, release the hands. Go ahead and hold on to the backs of your butt, backs of your legs. Inhale, heart reaches up. As you exhale, start to slide your hands down near the backs of your legs. Come forward into a low lunge. Great. From here, inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, plant your hands, bend your knees, step your left leg back. So the same leg that you had forward before is still forward. Notice what that feels like. Plant both palms on the mat. Step your right foot back to plank pose. Hooray, we made it. Great. We got 3 breath cycles here. Push down into the index fingers of your hands. Make the heels of your hands light so your inner armpits lift up. Lift up through your inner thighs. Next in breath, shift your weight forward. And as you exhale, lower all the way down to your belly, one piece. Nice job, guys. Nice job, guys. Fantastic. All right, once you get there, tops of the feet come to the floor. Push down into your hands and isometrically pull your heart forward and through, baby cobra. And just notice what this feels like. See if you can squeeze your shoulder blades onto your back body. Press your toenails down into the floor. Nice. Exhale, lower all the way down. Inhale, come up to hands and knees. And exhale back to downward facing dog. Great. Let's try the other side. Take a big breath in here. Exhale, left knee to nose. Step the foot between your hands. Pause. Maybe bring your hands to your block substitute. And then just see this time how long you can make your legs. So your left knee will bend forward, your right inner heel will reach back, your right inner thigh will reach up, your heart reaches forward, so your spine is long. And you just notice, can you apply more pressure into your right pinky toe, your right big toe, your left heel? Okay, lift your inner right thigh just a smidge more, so even though your pelvis descends, the thigh lifts. There we go. Now take 1 or a million steps, step to the top of your mat. Nice work. Once you get there, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold in. Bend the knees or keep the legs straight. Roll up your spine bone by bone. When you come up to stand, let the head be the last thing to come to vertical. Continue to root down through your feet and then slide your hands to your hips. From here, we're going to just float our left leg up just for momentary balance. This left leg is going to cross behind you and you're going to flex through the foot and bring the knife edge, so pinky toe edge of your left foot to the floor outside of your right foot. Now, with your hands on your hips, you're going to push your hips over towards the left and rainbow your left arm up and over to the right. We're looking for a stretch all along our left side body, and you just pause and you breathe. When you're ready to come up, left hand comes back to left hip, spine comes up to vertical, left leg comes forward, and left foot goes down. We'll try that on the other side. So right leg floats up, right foot is flexed, right leg crosses behind you and over to the left, knife edge of the right foot's on the floor, hands are on the hips and they press the hips to the right palm fans up and over your head to the left, and you just pause and you breathe. When you're ready to come up, the right arm comes back towards the right hand to the hip, straighten the spine, lift the leg, and lower the foot. Great. From here, hands will interlace behind your back, whatever setting you want. Draw the shoulders onto the back, lift the heart up, and then exhale, start to fold forward at your hips. Once you're there, maybe you keep your hands on your butt. Maybe you reach your arms up and over the head. But just take a few moments to breathe here. Notice what happens if you hug your shoulder blades together on your back. Notice what happens if you try to bring the heels of your hands to touch. Fantastic. Very gently release your hands back to your butt. Slide your hands down the legs and to the floor. From there, inhale, halfway lift. And then exhale, fold in. Again, plant your hands, bend your knees. This time you're going to step your right foot long and back. So we're back in that left leg low lunge. Notice how it feels to be here now. Plant your palms, step your left foot back to the right, plank pose. Take 3 breath cycles here. And again, you make the tips of the fingertips heavy, the inner armpits light, the inner thighs light. Next in-breath, shift your weight forward, lower all the way down, one piece. Nice work, guys. You are fantastic. Okay, this time let's slide our hands back alongside our hips, palms face down. Great. Energize your legs, so make them long and strong. Press the tops of your toenails into the floor. And then from here, draw your shoulders up towards your ears. Draw your shoulders onto your back and lift your ears in line with the tops of your shoulders. Now keep scooping your pubic bone up to your belly button. Press your toenails down and start to walk your fingers back behind you and maybe a little bit to the right and to the left. Notice how that allows you to draw. Yeah, there you go, Christine. Your shoulder blades on your back and your chest lifts a little higher. Some of you will stay here. Some of you will reach so far back through your toes that your toes and feet and legs all start to reach up and away from the floor. Some of you will continue to crawl your fingertips back and wide and maybe just squeeze the shoulder blades together on the back as the head lifts a little higher. Some of you will reach those fingers so far up and away from the floor that now your legs, your arms, your head is all floating for Superman and Superwoman. And we'll breathe here for 3. We'll breathe here for 2. We'll breathe here for 1. Exhale, lower all the way down. Plant your hands alongside your lowest ribs. Curl your toes under your choice, hands and knees or plank. And then make your way back to downward facing dog. And then just take 3 breaths. I'm sure that through all of that, your mind started telling you stories. Our minds always do that. But how can we be quiet? How can we be still? How can we do a little bit less and trust a little bit more? Ganesha is the remover of obstacles because I think honestly, our biggest lesson from here is that we do have to trust more. We do have to do a little bit less. We have to be quiet and we do have to be still at times. He puts obstacles in our way for us to grow, but we can only grow if we can perceive it as an opportunity more so than an obstacle. And we can only do that if we kind of quiet the mental chatter. So let's move on. Inhale, sweep your right leg up and back. So with your right leg up and back, let's go ahead and bend our right knee, open and stack the hip. And notice that you can still press down into your left hand forward so your left shoulder is buoyant. And then maybe see if you can draw that right heel closer to your left hip. And just notice if you're feeling a stretch happening across your abdomen or the thigh or what's going on there. Great. And then with the control that you developed before, draw your right knee to your nose. Yeah, look at that. Step the foot between the hands. Now, hands might come to blocks or block substitutes. And then from here, spin your back foot down for warrior 2. Once you feel like your feet are established, bring your spine up for vertical for warrior 2. Nice work. Now, once you're in your warrior 2, I want you to check in with that front foot. Is there enough space from your front foot to your back foot? And then notice if you can bend into your right knee just a little bit more. So we're trying to get towards that 90-degree angle. And so our outer right hip comes back, our inner left thigh rolls back, our arms are radiating out like happy, beautiful rays of sunshine. Now your back arm, your left arm is going to lightly touch your left thigh. You're going to flip your right palm up and you're going to take your reverse warrior. This is kind of all that side bending stuff we were doing before. And just breathe into your right side body and notice what you notice. Nice work. Next in breath, return to warrior 2. As you exhale, cartwheel your hands down to the floor and come to a low lunge. Pause here. Left hand might come to a block. It might stay on the floor. It's totally up to you. Bring your right hand to the outside edge of your right thigh. Now your right hand is going to push in on the thigh as your thigh pushes out into the hand. Push down into your left hand, scoop your low belly on the right side, and see if you can rotate your rib cage towards the right as you squeeze your outer left hip in and pull your outer right thigh back. Nice. Fantastic. And you're just going to pause and you just see if you can lengthen your chest forward and lean your head back. Great. On your next in-breath, bring both hands to the floor or the blocks. Awesome. Listen closely. You've got 1 or a million steps. You're going to crawl your hands forward and float your back leg to parallel to the floor. So 1 or a million steps. Float that left leg so it's parallel to the floor. Great. And then just take a moment to pause here. See if you can lift your heart and sternum forward, lift up through your inner left thigh a little bit more. Nice work. Next, exhale, bend your left knee and step your left foot next to the right. Fantastic job. Great. Separate your feet hip distance apart if they're not already. And then inhale, halfway lift. This time as you exhale, bend your knees and see if you can touch your fingers to the floor. Awesome. Inhale, sweep your hands back behind you so they're alongside your hips. Turn your palms to face down. Great. Inhale, bend your knees, sweep your arms forward and sit for Utkatasana, chair pose. We're going to stay here awkwardly for today. So your palms are going to face up. You're going to sit in this awkward chair pose, and we're just going to breathe here for 3 breaths. And you're going to notice what this feels like. At the end of your next exhalation, we're going to stand up and we're going to take our left leg with us. Left leg comes up, arms go up. Hooray, we made it. One-legged Tadasana. Fantastic. Next exhale, go ahead and lower the leg and then lower the arms alongside your hips. Take a moment to just notice what you notice, to breathe, to be in that. All right, we got to do all that again on the other side. So inhale, sweep your arms up and overhead. Exhale, fold forward at your hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Now this time as you exhale, bend your knees, put your fingers on the floor. See if you can straighten your spine as much as you can. And then inhale, float your hands back. Turn your palms to face down. Bend your knees even more, sweep your arms forward, sit down for chair pose the other side. Great. And we just got 3 breaths. Notice what you notice. Long, steady, smooth breaths. At the end of this next exhalation, we're going to stand tall on our left leg, take our right leg with us. Arms come up, leg comes up. Nice job. Go ahead and lower the right leg down and then lower both arms down. Take a moment to soften the gaze or close the eyes and just notice what you notice happening on the internal space. How's your breath doing right now? Can you feel both feet evenly rooted on the floor? Are there parts of the body that are talking to you? Right, let's go ahead and add on or move on rather. Inhale, circle, sweep your arms up and overhead. As you exhale, fold forward at your hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. From here, inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. As you exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, slide your left foot back. Slide your right foot back, plank pose. Inhale, shift your weight forward. As you exhale, lower through Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale to your cobra or up dog, your choice. And then exhale back to downward facing dog. 3 breaths. 3 breaths. Notice if you want to bend and straighten one knee and then the other. Notice if you just want to be still and find that elongation through your spine. How can you trust that by being quiet, by being still, by doing less and trusting more, you will be capable of doing all that you desire to do, to overcoming whatever things might currently be operating in your life? Awesome. Next in breath, let's go ahead and sweep our left leg up and back. As you exhale, bend the knee, open and stack the hip. And then just take a few breath cycles here. As that left foot comes towards your right hip, can you keep pressing down into your right hand? Nice job. As you exhale, draw the left knee to the nose. Quietly step that foot between your hands. Bring your hands to your blocks or your block substitutes. And then from here, spin your back foot to the floor. But before you come up, really make sure your feet are long and wide and stable. And then when that's rooted, inhale, bring the spine up to vertical for warrior 2. Great. And when you find yourself in your warrior 2, notice what's happening on this side. Is it possible to elongate a little bit more through your inner left thigh so your outer left hip can come back? Can you press more onto the pinky toe edge of your right foot? And then notice if you can reach out through both hands a little bit more evenly. Now lower your right hand to touch your right thigh. Turn your left palm to face up. And then take a reverse warrior, Viparita Virabhadrasana. And you just pause and you breathe and you notice what's happening on your side body. That's very nice, Steve. On your next in-breath, return to Virabhadrasana 2. As you exhale, cartwheel your hands down to the floor or blocks and pause. Now at this point, let's make sure we're on the ball of our back foot. Maybe your right hand comes to a block. Maybe it stays on the floor. Your left hand comes to the outer left thigh. And now you push your left thigh into your left hand into your left thigh. You reach your heart forward. You lift your inner right thigh a smidge. You scoop your belly on the left side and you rotate your rib cage to the left. Maybe your heart can come forward and your head can lean back, but we're finding a rotation as well as a length through the spine. Nice work. Next in breath, go ahead and bring the left hand back to the floor. Your choice. Again, one or a million hops or steps. You're going to step your right leg parallel to the floor for a standing splits variation, warrior three variation. Now flex through that back foot a lot. Lift up through that inner thigh. Heart and sternum reach forward. Nice job. Maybe see if you can lift your spine parallel-ish to the floor. Yeah. And then when you're ready, bend your right knee, step your right foot hip distance apart from your left. Great. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. And then exhale, fold in. Happy days. Inhale, sit, Utkatasana, chair pose. Awesome. And then, so we're going to stay here. Maybe this time our arms are alongside our ears. Our butt is descending to the floor. We're hugging our inner thighs in. We're hugging our outer thighs back. We're breathing for 3. We're breathing for 2. We're breathing for 1. The next time we stand, our left leg's going to come with us. Next time we stand, the only time we stand. Fantastic. Now bring your hands to the front of your left thigh. Pull your shin towards your chest. Press your shin towards your thigh. Some of you will stay right here. Some of you will release your left hand and start to reach your left hand to the left and maybe even back behind you. And maybe take your gaze with it as well. As you breathe for 3, you breathe for 2, you breathe for 1. Gently come back through center. Hands come to the shin. Go ahead and release your hands, release the leg, and then shake everything out. That was a doozy. Good job, guys. Okay. Of course, we have to do that on the other side, so I hope we know that's where we're going. But okay, come back to stillness. Let's try the other side. Inhale, circle, sweep your arms up and overhead. And then exhale, fold forward at your hips. Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold in. Inhale, sit. Utkatasana, chair pose. Fantastic. And we just got 3 breath cycles here. Press into your big toes. Hug your outer hips and back. Lift up through your pinky fingers. The next time you exhale, we'll stand. Our right leg will come with us. Nice work. Bring your hands to the front of your right shin. Pull your shin closer to your chest. Push your shin into your hands, and happy to stay here as ever. Or maybe you release the right hand. Right hand might reach out to the right, and then maybe your right hand reaches back behind you. Keep pushing your hand into your shin into your hand as maybe you rotate towards the right. Nice work. When you're ready to come out of it, spine comes back to center, back to shin. Release the hands, release the leg, shake it out. Hooray, we made it. All right, let's move on. Okay, standing at the top of your space, let's interlace our hands. Now, awkward opposite interlace. Throw your shoulders up towards your ears, shoulder blades together on your back. Lift your heart and chest up. And then as you exhale, start to hinge forward at your hips. Once your head is down towards the floor, maybe your hands stay on your butt. Maybe your hands reach up and over your head. Maybe they don't do any of that. You just take a few breaths and just notice what you notice. If your hands are over your head, bring your hands back to your pelvis. Slide your hands down your legs and hands to the floor. Great. Inhale, halfway lift. And then exhale, fold in. Let's bend our knees. Step your right foot back. Plant the palms and then step your left foot back. Plank pose. 3 breath cycles here. Then when you're ready, you'll shift your weight forward, lower through Chaturanga Dandasana. Come into your up dog or your cobra, your choice. And then exhale back to downward facing dog. 3 breaths in down dog. And then let's lower our knees to the mat. Okay. Nice work, guys and gals. Awesome. Cool. So this one, you can use your blanket. You do not need to use your blanket. But if you have hip stuff, I find that the extra um, space created by the blanket just makes it feel better for me. You do not have to do that. You might be like, that's not something I want to do. But you're going to separate your knees a little bit wider than your hips. Your big toes are still touching. The blanket, if you want to use it, comes to the top of your hips, and you sort of create about a 1 to 2 inch fold at the top. You pull that back like you're riding on a horse, or I don't know, I've never ridden a horse clearly, but you're pulling back against your hips, and then you reach your chest up and over the blanket. From there, you'll crawl your hands forward and come to your fingertips. Awesome. And now some of you will just stay right here and you'll just be on the tips of your fingers. Your ears are roughly in line with your inner arms. You push the floor down and away from you as you draw your sit bones closer towards your heels. And some of you will just stay here happy as a clam. Some of you will lift your head so it's hovering off the floor. You'll walk your hands over to your right. Now, keep your left hand pressing down and forward. Step your right hand close to your right knee. The elbow is bent. Push down into your right fingertips. Scoop your right low belly. Pull your left hand back isometrically. And we're trying to find our latissimus dorsi on our left side. So it's the lat muscle that goes from your armpit down to your hip. Fantastic. Next in breath, let's go ahead and unwind the spine. If you rotated it, walk your right hand forward. Walk both hands to center and just momentarily pause here. Now, ideally, we're a cousin thing from the Addams family, so the heels of the hands are away from the floor. Fingertips are very active. Great, and we'll maybe stay here. Maybe you'll walk your hands up into the left upper corner of your space. Again, the right fingertips remain as cousin thing. Your left hand steps outside of your left knee. Push down into your left fingers. Lift your left low belly. Rotate your rib cage towards the left. And we're finding this stretch as we pull our right hand back isometrically. Yep. Jenny, I wonder what would happen if you lift your right elbow or armpit up away from the floor just a little bit more and then pull back. Okay. Gently inhale, unwind, come back through center, and then just take a moment to let your head careen to the floor and relax in a normal child's pose. Cool. All right. Let's shift our weight forward to forearms and knees. Make sure your elbows are underneath your shoulders. Christine, go ahead and move that block off your space. And Sandy, you can get rid of the blanket. Okay, forearms and knees. And then I want you to start to army crawl your knees back. Normally I have you army crawl your elbows, but you're gonna walk your knees back. So our elbows are underneath our shoulders, our knees start walking back until our body creates this plank position with our knees on the ground. Great. Awesome. Now I want you to push down into your elbows and pull your organs away from the floor. Curl all 10 toes under, and I want you to push back through your big toes and then push back through your pinky toe mounds. Now, some of you will just stay here with both knees on the mat. That's completely acceptable. I'm going to do that myself. Some of you will float your knees up and away from the floor. That's totally up to you. Walk your dominant elbow 1 inch forward of your non-dominant elbow. And then you're going to take 10 breath cycles here. So thank you, Mary Richards. So Sandy, let go of the hands. There you go. Your dominant elbow comes forward just a smidge. There we go. Ha ha. We breathe for 10 breath cycles. And after you've done that, step your dominant elbow back and then step your non-dominant elbow forward. And again, another 10 breath cycles. And you're noticing that as you just focus on breathing, this makes this incredibly hard. And all you have to do is pull your organs up and away from the floor. All you have to do. So you just pause and you breathe and say, thank you, Mary Richards. This is the most intense core exercise I've ever done. After you've taken 10 breath cycles, step your non-dominant arm back and then step your dominant elbow forward one more time. This is the last set, I promise. And you just pause and you breathe and you keep pulling your organs away from the floor and you keep pressing back through your pinky toenails and your big toenails. Fantastic. Step your dominant hand back and last set, non-dominant elbow forward and just pause and you breathe and you pause and you breathe and we're doing it. We're freaking doing it. Okay, when you're ready, step the non-dominant elbow back, lower the knees down for a bit, and let me know how that went. Did we feel our core? Oh, good. I got some thumbs up. Hooray! All right, guys. Last thing. Lower both forearms back to the floor. This time I want you to take prayer hands. So palms press into each other. Round your spines as much as you can. Happy, angry Halloween cats. That's an oxymoron. Curl both sets of toes under. Start to walk your feet towards your face, your butt up to where the wall and the ceiling meet, and suddenly you'll find yourself in dolphin. Hooray, look at us go, people. Those look fantastic. Now keep pushing your forearms down. Keep lifting your inner armpits up, and you're feeling like you're trying to round your upper back, and it actually straightens your spine in a weird way. Nice job, everybody. Fantastic. Take 3 to 5 breaths, and then when you're ready to come down, you come down. Those look very stable. And we'll just sit for a moment in Vajrasana once again. How'd that go? I got a thumbs up, 2 thumbs up. All right. Awesome. 3 thumbs up. Fantastic. Okay. Cool. Now, once we're ready, we're going to sit up. You're going to extend your legs in front of you. This is, again, an opportune moment for our blanket. Can we start with our blanket in the standard fold? So this is roughly a quarter of its original size. All right. And then from here, I want you to fold this in thirds long ways. So depending upon your body, this should essentially be as long as your torso. I know I have a slightly shorter torso, so if yours doesn't work out, that's totally okay. I might just have a freakishly short torso. Okay, and then you are going to turn and bring the blanket behind you and sit just the bottom tips of your sit bones on that blanket. Awesome. Okay. And we'll listen very closely. Let's bend our right knee, draw our right heel pretty close to our right butt. You're going to bring your thumbs to the back of your right calf flesh, pull the flesh down, and then grab your right ankle and bring your right heel outside of your right hip. There we go. If you need to move over to your left a little bit and remove any additional flesh underneath that right leg, by all means, do that. Great. Now, some of you are going to walk your hands back. You're going to lift your pelvis up. You're going to slide your tailbone towards your feet, or rather, I guess, your left foot. And maybe you'll just lean back on your forearms. And we're looking for a stretch happening across the belly of our right thigh. Some of you will be able to lay all the way down on your blanket, and you'll lie all the way down on your blanket. If you're down on your back, you might extend your arms up and over your head and grab opposite elbows. If you're like, Jessica, that's never happening, no worries. I want you to be in a spot where your right ankle and your right foot feels safe. I want you to be in a spot where your right knee feels safe. If none of that is happening for you, please flag me over and please adjust. And you'll just take 3 to 5 breath cycles here. And Robin, for you, you might also bend your left knee. That's yep. Let the left leg come to the floor. Yep. And then notice what happens if you take a little bit of a rotation to your left. Does that give you more sensation happening on your right thigh? Okay. And you just pause and you breathe. And then when you're ready to come out, you're going to mindfully come out, most likely by retracing the steps you took to get here. Okay. Nice job. Once you're up, Go ahead and extend your right leg forward in front. If you need to circle your ankles, circle your ankles. If you need to rub your knees, rub your knees. If you need to internally and externally rotate your thighs, internally and externally rotate your thighs. Great. And then when you're ready, you'll do all that on the other side, but I'm going to change the order just a little bit. So just bend your left knee, bring your left heel close to your left butt. Let's grab our left ankle with our left hand, right hand to the right. Swim your left foot outside of your left hip rather. And then if you need to remove the flesh, remove the flesh. Great. Some of you will stay here. This is totally fine. Some of you will walk your hands back. You might lift your pelvis up and slide your tailbone forward. And you might lower your forearms. You might lie down on your back. You might bend the right knee and open the right knee out to the right, and then take a little rotation to the right. You just pay attention to where you're feeling an opening across the belly of your left thigh without hurting left knee or left ankle. And you just pause and you breathe. That feel okay for you, Julie? Okay. Okay. And you just pause and you breathe. Is that okay for you, Pristine? Okay. And you've got about 3 more breath cycles here. And then when you are ready to come out, you'll slowly take your time and come out of this shape. Okay. And then we'll just take a momentary pause with both legs in front of us in Dandasana. And again, if you need to roll the ankles, roll the ankles. If you need to rub the knees, you rub the knees. If you need to internally and externally rotate the thighs, you'll do that as well. Cool. And then we'll bring our hands back behind us. The heels of the hands can be closer to your butt. The fingertips can face back. We'll go ahead and straighten our legs as straight as we can, sitting for a moment in Dandasana. So it feels like your butt is coming forward and your heart is lifting up like your happy little flapper girl on the back of some semi. And maybe you stay here. Maybe you're just like, yeah, this is great. Maybe you start to hug the shoulder blades onto the back body. Maybe you push down into the hands. Maybe you push down into the heels. Maybe you lift your pelvis in line with your shoulders. That's a joke. And we're seeing if we can find a reverse plank. And then when you're ready to come down, chin to chest, butt to floor, take a moment to sit again for Dandasana. And notice how that feels. If you'd like to try it again, you can try it again. So again, push down through the hands, shoulder blades onto the back, push down into the heels, lift the hips. Shoulder blades hug onto the back. We pause, we breathe, soles of the feet to the floor. And then you're ready, butt to the floor, chin to the chest. Cool. All right, moving on. Let's go ahead and bend our left knee. Open our left knee to the left. Left sole of the foot comes to the inside edge of our right foot. And then you might need to shift your weight a little bit so you can remove the flesh from underneath your sit bones. You can also use your blanket underneath to prop up your butt. This is one of those times where you can also use your strap, or you can put your blanket around the front of your foot. And again, like we're a horse, if you hold on to the foot, you pull the reins back, you reach the heart forward, and you can start to find yourself in Janu Shirshasana. And you just pause and you breathe. So the right toes are pulling back towards the right knee. The heart is melting towards your right shin bone. And you just pause and you breathe and you notice what that feels like. What are you feeling on the lower part of your left low back? How is the back of your right leg, your hamstring? You just pause and you breathe. And some of you will choose to stay right here, happy as a clam. Some of you might lower your right forearm to the floor or to the block. And then you're going to start to rotate your rib cage towards the left. Then you might reach your left arm up and overhead. And we'll find ourselves in this awkward version of Pavrita Janu Shirshasana. And you just pause and you breathe. So arm alongside your ear, Julie, palm faces down. Yep. And then when you're ready to come out, if you're in Pavrita Janu Shirshasana, left arm reaches back, the spine comes up, you come up. Take a moment to sit. And then when you're ready, you'll draw the outer left knee back. You'll extend the left leg forward. Again, maybe you circle your ankles. Maybe you rub your knees. Maybe you internally and externally rotate your thighs. Cool. We'll go ahead and try that on the other side. So again, turn your left leg parallel and neutral. Bend your right knee. Externally rotate your right leg. So your right foot is on the inside edge of your left thigh. And then again, if you need to move your butt around so the flesh is outside of that. And then you can have a strap, you can have a blanket, you can have your hands around your left foot. Pull your foot back, reach your heart forward, and then start to find Janu Shirshasana, so head to knee pose. And you just pause and you breathe. Notice what's happening on your right low back. Notice what's happening on the back of your left leg. Is the left foot still active? Happy to stay here, or maybe bring your left forearm to the floor of the block. Start to rotate your rib cage to the right. Let your right arm reach alongside your ears. And we'll find Pavrita Janu Shirshasana. And just pause and you breathe and you just notice what that feels like. And can you soften any tension? And when you're ready to come up, the right arm reaches up and back. It brings you all the way up. You take a moment to just be still. Notice what you notice. And then come back to center. Draw your right knee forward. Send your right leg long. Maybe again, you circle the ankles. Maybe you rub your knees. Maybe you internally and externally rotate the legs. Okay, last thing. Let's go ahead and walk our feet towards us. Open both legs out for Baddha Konasana, and you might put your hands behind you and just lift your pelvis up. I like that. It feels like I'm kind of a little kid in a monkey bars. I can swing my pelvis a little bit. I do have a shorter torso, so that might not work for everybody, so that's totally fine. And then you're just going to see if you can pull your heels towards your perineum and lift up through your chest and feel how that feels. Nice work. Okay, if you walked your pelvis forward, you might need to walk it back a little bit so you can extend both legs out to the right and to the left. And then last little rotation. So left hand comes forward, right hand comes back. Inhale, lift up through the spine, and exhale, we'll rotate to the right. Flex through both of your feet. Push the heels down, scoop your low belly in, and just feel what that rotation feels like as you go to the right. Nice work. On your next in-breath, gently unwind. Draw your right hand forward, your left hand back behind you. Inhale, push down through the fingers, lift up through the spine, and then exhale, start to rotate towards the left. It feels like you push down into your heels and you pull your right hand back isometrically as your left hand pulls forward, and then that allows you to rotate in the abdomen a little bit more. Again, head is on the spine, you're lifting up. Right? Next in breath, come back through center, unwind the legs. Cool. Let's walk our legs together by creating little scoops under the backs of the knees. Make sure you turn around and lie down with your head towards the top of your space. So towards the camera, towards the top of your mat, your head is towards me. When you find yourself on your back, I want you to make sure that any props that you think you might need later, so like a block or a blanket or somewhere nearby where you can grab them if you need them. Awesome. Awesome. And then when you find yourself on your back, let's bend our knees and plant both feet on the floor, hip distance apart. Bring your hands alongside your hips. Palms can face down or palms can face up. It's totally up to you. But you want your feet about hip distance apart. And then when you're ready, you're going to push down through your feet. You're going to lift through your hips. You're going to push down through your arms and lift through your hips. Once you're up, you might walk the shoulder blades a little closer underneath you. You might press down into the back of the center of your skull as you draw your sternum a little closer towards you. And some of you might interlace your hands. Some of you might not do that. You might grab the outer edges of your mat, but you just take 3 to 5 breaths here. Sternum comes to chin, chin floats away from the sternum. Center of head presses straight down as top of arms press into floor. And at the end of your next exhale, release the hands, untuck the shoulders, bring the pelvis back down to the floor, and just pause there in stillness with your butt rooted. Nice. And just take a couple breaths. I'm going to do one more bridge pose. So go ahead and extend the hands alongside the hips if they're not. Press through the feet, press through the hands, press through the head, lift the hips. Once you're up, maybe walk the shoulder blades underneath you. Maybe you interlace the hands, maybe you grab the outer edges of your mat. And you just got 3 to 5 breaths here. Again, rolling the inner thighs to the floor. Noticing that the neck is still in its long spine position, its neutral position, even as you push into the back of the head. Nice. At the end of your next exhale, gently unclasp the hands, untuck the shoulders, and bring your butt back to the floor. Okay. Let's go ahead and bring our right knee to our chest, interlace our hands at the back of the right thigh, extend your left leg long against the floor. Now keep your right knee bent, hands are at the back of your right thigh. I want you to kick your thigh away from you as you pull it into you. So just the low or the top half of your leg, depending upon how you're thinking it, just the thigh bone, the big bone moves away from you as you pull it in. You're trying to find that isometric engagement. So the foot's not doing anything. We're just finding this explicitly in the thigh bone, top of the leg. And some of you will be happy here. We're working towards as close to a 90-degree angle at the hip and the thigh as possible. And then some of you might reach your right foot up towards the sky. Again, you're pushing the thigh into the hands, you're pulling the hands into the thigh. And then if that right foot has extended up towards the sky, see if you can draw your outer right hip away from you. There you go, Jenny. And roll that inner right thigh to the floor. Nice work there, Robin. And you just pause and you breathe. You're finding that thigh root. You're allowing your body to settle here. Nice job. At the end of this next exhale, gently bend the right knee, hug it into the chest a little bit more. And then release the right foot onto the floor and just bend the left knee and plant the left foot next to the right. And notice if you notice anything between the sides. Gently draw the left knee into the chest, interlace the hands at the back of the left thigh, extend your right leg on the floor beneath you. And then again, you're just finding a 90-degree angle at the hip. So kick the left thigh into your hands as you pull the hands into the thigh. And you're happy to stay here with that left knee bent, or maybe you extend the left foot up towards the sky. If the left foot does go up, check in with the right leg. Make sure the inner right thigh is rolling to the floor so the toes point straight up. Yep. And then roll your outer left hip away from you and you just pause and you breathe. Pause and you breathe. The end of the next exhalation, bend the knee, draw the left knee into your chest. And then gently release the left foot to the floor, bend the right knee, plant the right foot on the floor. Okay, last thing. Cross your right ankle over the top of your left thigh. Interlace your hands at the back of your left thigh, front of your left shin, and just take Sukhi Randrasana. With all that hip stuff that we did, your hips might feel this. Flex through your right foot quite a bit. And then notice what it feels like maybe to press your right forearm into the center of your right thigh. Notice what it feels like maybe to draw the configuration of your legs closer to your chest. Awesome. And when you're ready, gently release the hands, Draw the left foot to the floor, draw the right foot to the floor, and switch sides. So left ankle over the top of the right thigh. Interlace your hands through the hole, grab the back of the thigh or the front of the right shin. And then again, just check in. Make sure your left ankle stays flexed the whole time so we can target, your outer left hip. And then just notice that as those left toes pull back to your left knee, you might press your left forearm into your left inner thigh. You might pull the right thigh closer to your chest. You might rock a little bit right to left. Just notice where you feel an opening or release. Awesome. And then as you're ready, gently release the hands. Draw the right foot to the floor, draw the left foot to the floor. And then start to make your way to your final resting shape. So if you feel like you need to do something else, if that's a gentle supine twist before you go there, if you're like, yeah, Jessica, I'm ready for Shavasana or Supta Baddha Konasana, by all means, make your way to your final shape. And when you do find yourself there, I encourage you to take your time to set yourself up well. So if your space is cold, maybe cover the body with clothing or blankets. If you feel like there's a part of you that would like a little bit more support, maybe you use the blocks or the blankets to support the outer thighs, or maybe to support the neck. And then as you come into this final shape, let's go ahead and exhale all the breath from our mouths. And then take a big breath in through the nose. Audible breath out. Two more just like that. Big breath in, followed by a big breath out. Last time. Big breath in, followed by a big breath out. At the end of that exhalation, allow your breath to fall back into its involuntary rhythm. And I'd like you to just stay with your breath as best as you can through our practice today. And when you find that your mind wanders, no worries. Simply notice that and then come back to your breath. If it helps, you might consider repeating to yourself, be quiet, be still, do less, and trust more. Be quiet, be still, do less, and trust more. I'll leave you here with you for a few more moments or a few more breath cycles, and I'll let you know when it's time to come out. Return your awareness to your breath. As you come back to your breath, just take a moment to check in. Notice what you notice. If there's any part of you longing to linger in this shape, by all means, please stay here. When movement does start to call to you, allow it to enter into the body in whatever way feels nurturing and nourishing. Those in stillness, again, stay as long as you'd like. Those in movement, start to make your way to one of your sides. Once you're on your side, just take a couple of breaths there. And then slowly, you'll use your hands to press yourself up to a tall seat. When you are vertical, I would encourage you to sit on something, whether it's a block or a blanket or a pillow. And then we'll complete by planting one hand on our heart, the other hand directly on top of it. Again, in your internal space, if you need to fidget around, fidget around. I think that all the things in life that happen to us can be opportunities for growth, but sometimes they seem like obstacles in our way. I think if we can remember to allow ourselves to quiet the mind, the chatter that, I don't know about you, but mine always freaks out. We can allow that part of us to be quiet, to be still, do a little bit less, and trust a little bit more. We can find that no matter what happens, there is something that we can glean from it. There is that moment of growth. So as you're here for these last few breaths, I invite you to check in with you. What is that thing that you might have previously labeled an obstacle? And how can we trust that that Ganesh within us put it there and will also help us remove it once we've learned the lesson we need to learn? We'll go ahead and complete our practice with a collective breath, followed by a collective Om. Guide your hands to heart center Anjali Mudra. Press the palms into each other. Draw the shoulder blades down your back and push your sternum into your thumbs. Softly exhale all the breath from your mouth. Take a big breath in through your nose. Audible exhale. Inhale for Om. Join if you'd like. Om. Draw your thumbs to your third eye. May our thoughts be clear. Draw your thumbs to your lips. May our words be kind. And draw your thumbs to your heart center. May our hearts be open. The light, the breath, the Ganesha within me honors and salutes the light, the breath, the Ganesha within each of you. Namaste.